Well, I hit stop instead of pause on that last one, so I'm going to have to do this all over again. I want to do a quick lab on CCNA equipment and packet tracer labs. There's been some confusion about how to do them, how they're graded, and it's a rainy Sunday afternoon, 1st of October, so this might be a good time to do that. Basically, there are 3 ways to submit labs into CCNA. Either packet tracer, excuse me, physical equipment in the classroom, or Netlab. All 3 have advantages and disadvantages. The required deliverables for each will be different. The packet tracer labs are labeled packet tracer. They are composed of 2 files. When you are getting these, I strongly recommend you get them from the modules section rather than the classroom. The reason being that a lot of times once you go into these, I make notes here like this one that will make it a lot easier for you to get through the curriculum. Please submit both the instructions and the packet tracer lab. That'll be explained here in just a second. Basically, the scoring on the packet tracer activities can vary. You can get 100% from either the packet tracer file, 100% from the instruction PDF file, or a combination of the 2. At the end of the PDF, there will be a scoring rubric. It will tell you exactly where the points come from. In this case, 12% come from the PDF, the questions. The packet tracer itself is worth 88%. You can find the score for the packet tracer file in the lower right-hand corner. The instruction sheet score is going to be based on these fillable questions. If you're opening these in Adobe Acrobat, you should see them. They should be fillable. They should be blue. If they're not, you need to talk to either myself or one of the other instructors. You'll probably have it open in a browser. Just a note, a lot of people seem to think that the reflection questions are not important. They're very important. They give me a better idea about whether or not you really have a grasp of the concepts that are covered in the lab, and whether you'll be able to continue on. So I do weigh that very heavily. One of the things that a lot of people are not doing, and I have not been rigorous about enforcing, is when you first open those packet tracer files, there will be a pop-up for the user profile, and default is guest. It should come up when you first open that packet tracer file. If not, go to options and user profiles. You need to put, it should look like something like this before you start that lab. Your name should be in there. I don't care about your email. However, if you change this, come back, put it back afterwards, everything will be gone. I will show you that here in a minute. You will not get credit for this lab if it does not show your name in the user profile. Just a quick run through on those. Find documents, demo. Just wanted to show you real quick that user profiles, options, user profile. Notice it says student. If I change this at this point, everything will be gone. Notice the way I normally do mine is I go ahead and I maximize the instructions and then float your topology on top. Notice it has 2 points down here. That's because I changed it in the previous lab. If you're not sure what you've done wrong, you can go into check results and these assessment items. It will tell you exactly what you've done wrong. The newer version, the 7.2, actually will limit it down to the incorrect items. This one's not configured because basically I changed the name previously, and so it erased all my work. That way we know who did it. Okay, so be aware of that. Make sure you turn on, or I'm sorry, that you put your name in that. Don't do it after the fact. Um, make sure you do save your work. Real quick, just to show you, these are the fillable questions. If you go to close this and it doesn't prompt you to save it, then you got a problem. You are in the wrong place. On hands-on labs, on physical equipment, there's two ways you could do it. Either Netlab or the physical equipment in the classroom. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on Netlab because I'm going to do that in some other videos, and I have in the past. This is a Netlab that I've already fired up and got going. I wanted to point out a couple things. One, you can request more time in the last 15 minutes. If you get down to the last 15 minutes of the lab, you could extend it 15 minutes. You shouldn't need more than that. I think I've extended the labs to 3 hours. You can, when you're scheduling the lab, you can make it up to 3 hours. The other thing you can do is if for some reason you get started and you've got to do something else, you can actually come in and save your configuration. I've already done this, and I'm not gonna reload it because it reboots the routers or the devices, and it takes some time. I suggest creating a folder with this create folder for the course, and then making a folder for the lab. In this case, there's two network devices. There's the switch 1 and switch 2. I could actually reload these if I wanted to. Problem is it just takes too long. So that's an option. One thing that I did want to mention, the PCs are a little funny. The labs don't really mention this a whole lot. I'm going to undock that. I'm going to go ahead and do the, when you reset the IP addressing, you got to do this manually. In this case, it's 192. My number locked on. Okay. And then on my other one, the other thing I like to do is for what I'm doing is change the background so I know which one it's on. The background color. So let's go to 2, undock it. Come on. Well, it's acting up on me. I'll just do it from here. Okay. And the firewall is disabled, so you would think that the ping would work fine. Always ping, always confirm. Let's ping ourselves. Works fine. Okay, it's working. Okay, today it's working. Sometimes, however, what you'll find is that you will not be able to ping because let's go back to PCA. And what you have to do if pinging is not working is go back into your sharing center, go to the home group and this network location and put it on a work network. Okay. I don't know. Of course, it worked the time that I was trying to demonstrate it. So anyway, if that does not work, that is the issue. A lot of the time, it may not be 100%. One other thing I wanted to show you, I'm going to go ahead and log out and log back in with my instructor account. And I can actually go into that lab, that student's lab, and so I can actually go in and make changes, make corrections, just almost like a team. So if you are having problems, don't shut down your reservation. Go ahead and contact me, and I will see if I can get in and look at that. Sometimes that can be helpful. Once you shut it down, I'm limited to what I end up having to do is go back into classes. And this is the other part I was going to show you. This is the other deliverable. This is one of the reasons you don't have to do some of the things you're going to have to do for the physical equipment. Is that I actually have a log. You'll notice I've done almost all these labs myself just to get in. I don't know if this is the, okay, this is the one that I didn't do as much on. Okay, this is one I went into. I can actually go into the devices and see, example, I was doing partial autocomplete and hitting tab. It will let me see the command index that were run, the session logs, the final config files. So I can also go in and tell whether you did the lab and what you did. Right now I can't do anything on the PC, just like on the backup and restore, it doesn't have any effect on the PCs. So be aware of that. So it's a nice way to do your labs. Do go in to these reservations when you're done and in them. Particularly on these Cisco labs where we only have 4 pods available. Please note in the box when you're submitting your labs where you're doing the labs from, whether it's Netlab, so I'll know to go look, or you're going to end up submitting another file. The Netlab deliverables, basically you're only going to have to turn in the instruction sheet with the questions completed. I would follow for actually doing the labs, do the instructions embedded in Netacad, but they're not fillable. They do have customization. It'll be in blue or red type for doing it in that environment. And that gives you several options. You can go ahead and use the PDFs as they come from Netlab and use the sign and fill option. Basically, that's I don't know if this which one this is. This sign and fill. You pick. Okay, it's not going to let me do that because I got the wrong one. It will not work with the ones that are fillable. Let me get probably the other one. Okay, for Netlab. If I do come over here to the right, sign and fill, I've got a text box. I can fill them in. When I save that, all that will be retained and you'll submit that. I'm not going to save it. The other option is to use the fillable PDFs from the labs in Netacad. The final one you have is you can actually take those Netlab PDFs and open them in Word and convert them to Word. All of them are very doable. If you are doing it on physical equipment, you're going to fill in the complete PDF instructions that you get from Netacad. It's fillable. You're also going to turn in a session log from either PuTTY or TerraTerm, and I had been requiring this, and I kind of quit. I'm going to show you how you do that. I can't show you a whole lot because all I've got is a single old 1700 that I have at home, and I would save my settings. I would go ahead and create a setting. Because I'm using the USB to serial, it's not COM1. Once you have that saved, come back over here to logging, pick the printable output. I'm going to rename this because I've got one out there from a previous demo when I override it. Okay, where's that? Okay, you go back to sessions. I'm going to open this. Make a few changes. An older device, it takes a minute. Okay. Get in a hurry, get fat fingers. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and the other thing you can do is if you want to, you could actually go into settings and change your output, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, then I'm going to come back and exit. Once I close this, I should be able to come down here and I should be in this folder. I'm just going to open this one. This is the one I did previously. You can see the PuTTY actually captures all your both your commands and if you do the show runs, the output. It's actually a session log, and you'll submit that along with your questions. And then somebody's going to say, well, I've got to do it in PuTTY. The lab specifies PuTTY. TerraTerm. If you go into TerraTerm, again, I've got to change this to the USB serial. Go to File, Log, do plain text. If you do binary, let's do demo, or let's do C 1700. But let's change the folder because it's not going to let me do it there. Okay. Okay. As you can see, it gives me the same output. You'll submit that file along with it. Basically, that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know, and we'll get that done.